personally love to go to the gym and be at the gym because it's the only place that I feel like I fit in. You know what I mean? Like, every time I go out with people, like, my age, I never feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like the gym is the only place that I feel like I belong there. You know what I mean?
I totally vibe with that.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, Ashlee.
Thank you. I'm so nervous.
You have no reason to be. I was telling Dustin, because, like, you know, pretty much everybody at the gym has, like, something fun, something like that can essentially be taught to us. But beyond that, one of the reasons that I actually wanted you to be the first one is because you're always the person at the gym. It's like you and Laura, you guys are the ones that you're normally there when I'm there. I'm able to bullshit with you between clients. Yeah. It was fun, like, cheery and smiley and stuff like that.
You.
So I was like, this will be super natural. It's going to be, like, hella smooth, all that stuff. But, it's going to be great. But how did you actually get into training?
Okay, so I played soccer from when I was, like, probably 4, I think I started, all the way up until I graduated high school. And then I decided that I didn't want to play soccer anymore, but I didn't want to be that person that, like, graduated high school and just, like, did nothing and, like,
was super fit and then it was like glory days.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't want to be like that person. So then I kind of lifted when I was in high school. My freshman and sophomore year I took weights, so I kind of, like, learned how to squat and deadlift and clean and all of that. And then when I quit playing soccer, I just literally the week after I stopped, I just went and said soccer 6 days a week. I went to the gym 6 days a week. So then I just, like, took the time from soccer and went to the gym. And then I kind of learned how to lift. I just watched little YouTube videos and, like, hid in the corner because I was terrified of everything. And then I just ended up loving it. And so I decided that I wanted to help other people. And I had so much gym anxiety that I wanted to help other girls that were like me that are too scared to start lifting because they don't know how. And so I wanted to be that, like, help for them.
Yeah.
And totally. That's really mostly my clients now, which is great. People that don't really, like, know anything about lifting, so it's cool.
Like the people who are just, like, walking and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah, they don't want to do it on their own and they're
absolutely.
too scared. So they know nothing about lifting, which is perfect because then they can just start them from the ground up.
Yeah. What do you think made that shift for you where it's, go from, like, scared of everything in the gym, always chilling in the corner, and now it's like, you like have, like, a presence in the gym now. Yeah. You obviously, like, know what you're doing.
Honestly, I don't know. It took a long time. Like, I would say probably, like, the first year I was, in the corner and I was scared. And then as I started getting more comfortable and, like, actually learning how to lift, and I started seeing some progress, I just became confident in myself. And now that's, like, what I pride myself on is that I know what I'm doing. And I love to, like, be the female in the gym that's, like, the only woman in the weights with all the guys. Like, that makes me feel, like, empowered. Like, I love to be the girl that just, like, goes in the middle and, like, picks up the heavy weights. Like, I just love to be that person. And I don't know, it just, like, makes me feel strong, and I love that. So.
I feel like the whole, like, strong woman thing is such a new phenomenon too, because, like, we're a bit older than you, and I don't know if you remember, but, like, when I met you in the gym, for example, I maybe knew, like, 2 or 3 girls that were, like, dedicated weightlifters, like, regularly lifting weights and stuff like that.
And you see that kind of mirror too in, like, the NPC. Now they have different categories to kind of work those, like, kind of in between,
Yeah, and I feel like even, like, bikini is getting a lot more muscle, and wellness is obviously they're, like, the big legs and the big glutes and all of that. But yeah, I think the strong woman thing is definitely, like you said, just starting, because even talking to, like, my mom and all of her friends, like, none of them want to lift weights. They all just want to do cardio. And, like, I think that was definitely an era for them. But I think girls my age, so, like, college right now, everyone's kind of starting to move more into weightlifting and all of that. And I really like it.
Cool. A huge generational divide there, because it's, like, I've been on and off kind of working with my mom for 6 years, something like that. And, like, we're now at the point where it's, like, she's squatting one day and she's, like, excited because she knows that that's something that she can push a lot of weight on.
Yeah.
What do you think actually influenced that with people, where it's, like, it's just so much more common with, like I guess, why did you choose strength training as opposed to just doing cardio?
She's like, I read a book.
No, I think just because my introduction, like I said, at the beginning of high school lifting, I liked being in that environment and being pushed in a different way. And I personally hate doing cardio. I think soccer made me just despise running. Like, you will never catch me running for fun. And I just don't like to do cardio. I think it's not fun.
I'm literally the same.
No, I've never enjoyed it. And so I think, like I said, just lifting weights makes me feel strong, and I just love that. And I think a lot of girls are starting to do that. And I think there's been like the wave of feminism too. And so like empowering women in other ways has been getting bigger. And so I think the gym is just another realm of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. Like it's kind of just become a new way to like push yourself and like embody that like strength and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's just a different way, a different setting for that.
Yeah. What do you think you gained out of it the most? Actually getting to the point that you're lifting regularly, you're, clearly you have this understanding, you're inspiring other people. What do you think about that has like been the most beneficial for you?
I think being in the gym has really taught me mostly like dedication and how to do things that I don't want to do, because obviously you don't wake up every day and want to go to the gym and work out, but you just have to do it if you have goals. And I think that has really taught me to be more driven in like all areas of life. Like I've never really been someone who goes out and parties a ton. Like that's just never been something that I like to do. And I think that's because of the gym, because I know that that'll push my training back in recovery, and it takes me so long and it just doesn't make me feel good. So I think training has just taught me to be dedicated and really like have goals and be able to like set smaller goals to achieve that and know what I need to do every single day.
Yeah. It really is a perfect mirror for like any goal that you set. Like the gym's not gonna, you can't argue with the gym, you know, like did you go to the gym regularly? Great, you're probably building some muscle. Are you eating well enough? You're probably recovering well. Like it is such a perfect mirror for that. And I feel like you can almost see that on people, like people who aren't able to prioritize that. Like it almost seems to impact like every other aspect of their life. Like it's like, okay, you can't prioritize your health to some extent. Yeah, that's probably happening in a lot of other areas of your life.
And that's what I love about the gym too, is you can't fake it. You can't fake your progress. Like you can go get liposuction, but you can't fake building muscle. Like if you have muscle, you obviously worked hard for it, and your results are based on what work you've put in, and it's super cool that you can't like lie about that. Like you can lie about anything else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you can't just fake your way. You just have to do it.
Yeah, you can use as many filters as you want, but as soon as someone sees you in person, they're gonna be
your
like,
butt
hold
all
up.
you want. But when you see you in person, you're exposed.
Dude, that's like the weirdest thing probably to happen. At least like one of the craziest things for me with Instagram is like, I remember when Instagram was first getting big and like the gym was happening, people would always be like, oh, like that person's faking it, like that's a filter, and everybody was like, post a video. Because at the time, you couldn't fake it with videos. Like that just wasn't something that was available. And now it's like, dude, you can fake it with a video. Can,
and it looks real.
Yeah. Like craziness, dude.
It's insane.
Yeah, but once you're in person, that's kind of it.
Exposed.
Unless you faked it.
Absolutely exposed.
Yeah. So you did your first bodybuilding. What category was it? Bodybuilding, physique? I was
bikini.
Bikini, okay.
So the least amount of muscle.
Gotcha.
Here I am.
How'd you feel about it?
Before, during, or after?
All of them, because it's like there is certainly.
Because I can go into a whole thing about this.
Well, especially with like the people who follow you and stuff like that. Like usually they're looking to you for like, could I do this? Like, what is she doing? Can I do that? Blah, 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 blah. So surely there's people who are going to see this that are like wondering, was it even worth it? What was the process like? What was the good, the bad, and the ugly of like that entire process? Not to mention the fact that you basically had to do it twice because of COVID, but.
Yeah. So I'll just start from like the very beginning. So I've wanted to compete for years. I met with Hope Harper like years ago when I was, I think, like 17 or 18 when I was still in high school, and talked about a show, and I decided that I couldn't afford it because I was 17. And so I've always wanted to do it, and then like you said, I prepped last year for a show, and then it got moved 2 weeks out, and then I just decided to kind of cut that and start all over. So then I started prepping again in October, and I didn't know what show I was going to do, so I just kind of got on a meal plan because I've never been on, like, a diet ever until October. Like, it's the first time I'd ever been on a meal plan or, like, an actual, like, training program. So I started doing that, and then I competed in May, so May 15th was when I competed. Prep was not as hard as I expected it to be. I mean, it was hard, but luckily I'm already so lean that my calories didn't have to drop a ton. And so I got to eat a lot of food, which was good.
Nice.
But I would say, like, leading up to it, it was super fun. I really enjoyed, like, having a goal and knowing what I was working towards, and having that same routine every day was really fun for me. And obviously we have a great, like, bodybuilding community at Stimulus, so just getting to connect with those people, like, on a different level, because obviously I see them every day, but, like, all of us working towards the same goal was kind of cool. It connected us in a different way. And then show day was so much fun. I loved it. It was so long, though. But it was, like, an experience that I have never had before. It was insane being on stage, and I thought that I was going to be terrified because I hate, like, public speaking. Like, this is even, like, hard.
Like, take it a step further. You're in very
Yeah.
little clothing.
Yeah. And
Your body's, you're literally getting on a stage to
I'm
get
like,
it
here's
judged.
my butt, let me bend over for you.
Right. That pose is insane to me. I cannot get
And,
over
like,
that.
the judges aren't, like, level with you either. They're, like, below you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
geez.
it's, like, an angle.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But I honestly have never felt, like, so confident. Like, it was so cool and just an experience. But after the show was a whole nother thing.
Just
Yeah.
because did you do the same show as her, or did you do?
I did. So I competed in Nevada State in October.
Okay.
This last October.
Okay.
So you guys both were able to. I assume the after was eating. Is that what you're saying was, like, so beneficial?
Or just the post-show depression, totally a thing.
So bad.
So
Okay.
totally a
I
thing.
didn't
So
realize
bad.
that.
I literally cried, like, every day, like, just randomly. But I think it was because, so, finals week was the week of my show. So,
Oh my god.
and that was my
what?
last semester
Yeah.
at UNR. So it was like I had all this build up for the show. I was between, like, cardio. I had an hour of cardio a day. I was lifting. I was training clients. I was posing. I was at the gym, like, 6 hours a day, on top of studying for classes and doing all of that. And it all just ended at once. And so I'm just sitting at home, and I'm like, well, now I don't have a goal.
I remember you texted me.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do when you have free time? I'm like,
Yeah. I'm like, I literally don't know what to do with myself. Like, I just felt so, like, useless almost because I didn't have a goal. I didn't have anything to do. Like, I went from being so busy from, like, 4 a.m. until, like, 10 p.m. every day to not having anything to do.
It is definitely something you don't really consider. It's because, like, during show prep, every minute of your day, whether it's meals or your water or your workouts or your cardio, it's planned. That whole prep,
Completely.
it is totally planned. And so, like, when that monotony is, like, all done, you're like, well, I could do whatever I want. It's like, what do I want, you know?
Yeah.
And what is, like, why do we
Too
have all this
many
time?
options.
Like, am I dead or something, you know?
Yeah, no, too many options.
Yeah.
And I also didn't reverse diet.
Oh
man.
my god, that probably added a lot to you.
Yeah, because I literally
Your
was-
hormones are just.
Yeah, no, horrible. I definitely should have. I told myself I was going to, and I didn't want to be the person that didn't, but I absolutely was. I still not on a diet plan. I just kind of eat whenever, whatever I want, which is horrible. But yeah, I did a reverse diet, so I think that really messed me up, like, just mentally. But I also couldn't get myself to eat those healthy foods anymore. Like, I was just so far gone
Mm-hmm.
that it was just, I couldn't do it.
Well, I know,
mean,
like,
couldn't
my,
do it.
I don't know about for you, but, like, I'd say, like, the last 6 weeks of my cut, it was literally, like, 6-7 ounces of tilapia and green beans.
Oh, God.
That's it. And, like, 5 times a day.
Oh,
You
no.
know?
What I'm eating after this.
And so by that time it was done, I'm like, I did a pescatarian prep, so it was like all fish. I had like tuna, salmon, tilapia, cod, and at the end of it, I was like, I
So
don't
good.
want to fucking see
I don't wanna
sushi,
look at fish.
right?
Yeah,
all of
no,
it.
that's how I was. And I mean, luckily Jason gave me a lot of, like, options for my meals, and I like was eating bacon. And so like I got good foods, but still it was so much that when I had the freedom, and that's my problem with food, is I'm either like 100% one way or 100% the other. Like I'm so bad at like being at a happy medium. Like I'm still so one way or the other. So when I started eating like horrible foods, I couldn't stop, and I just kept going.
So you mentioned reverse dieting. That is like, it's crazy to me how that is like a part of people's prep now. Because I remember listening to a video, a debate with Lane Norton back in like 2013 or 14 or something like that. So, oh my God, forever ago now. And he was being like, reverse dieting is a thing. Like, you should be doing this after shows. You should be doing this if your metabolism is really slow, blah, blah, blah. And there were all these other people who were just like, no, that's bullshit. That doesn't make any sense. And it is such an accepted thing nowadays. It's crazy to me to like hear that in like commonplace conversation.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what was your reason for not?
I couldn't control myself. Literally, like Jason sent me a reverse diet, meal plan, everything. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I know that's such an excuse, and I hate when people say that, I can't do it. But I literally just couldn't. Like, I just wanted to eat everything, and I was so over, like, having the, like, guidelines of what I could and couldn't eat. And I just wanted donuts every day for breakfast, and I just gave them to myself.
The thing is, I don't even think that that's, like, a bad thing necessarily, because if this were going to be your livelihood, you know, you were trying to, like, go pro and like build this, you know, career as like a bikini athlete, then, you know, it would probably be like, hey, honestly, I think it would have been a lot easier for you, but it's like, you know, it's like anything that you commit to really, really intensely. I mean, there's like, he and I like went through a course where it was like, we set all these goals and you're just going at like 100% for 100 days. And he's almost done with it. But I remember when I finished, I was like, cool, I'm fucking done doing anything. I'm not gonna read for the next week. I'm just like, I did not give a shit about any goal that I set for like an entire week, because it's like,
you're mentally drained.
It's so exhausted.
Willpower is like a freaking, people say
mental
that, but it's
fatigue.
Yeah, man, sure. Willpower totally works like a muscle. Like, you can only push on that for so long before your body's just, and you're like, I got nothing else, give me a donut.
Yeah, and like
and that's
I said,
the thing, like that donut thing, that's self-care in a lot of ways after so much time being like just monotonous and not allowing yourself like any wiggle room, you know?
And especially because like I said, I started prep in October. So that's
because it got bumped, and then you did
8 months of like,
oh my God,
being on a meal plan and training.
Right, that's a lot. When usually they're like 4 to 6.
Yeah.
For a lot of
and
athletes.
I mean, and I started out pretty like low calories, and I ended up having like a coaching change. But
sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You know.
That was one other thing that I was curious about, was that coaching change. So I mean, obviously there's, not to throw shade at anybody, like there's good coaches, there's bad coaches, and sometimes a good coach for someone can be a bad coach for someone else. What would you encourage someone to look for when it comes to finding a coach for this specifically?
So I would personally look at yourself first and decipher what your needs are. For me, I'm the client that asks 1,000,001 questions. I want to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I want to do everything right. I want to do it perfect. I want to know why I'm doing it. So I ask so many questions. So for me, I had to find a coach that has that time to respond and will respond. You know what I mean? So I think you need to know what your needs are specifically, because there are some people that you can just give them a diet plan and a meal plan or a workout plan, and they'll just do it and not need any help, and they'll just do whatever you tell them. So I think just finding a coach that, one, doesn't have too many clients, that they won't just take anyone and everyone, because then you can kind of tell that they have too many people. You can't be a good coach if you have too many people.
They're not going to have the time to actually give you.
Yeah, and so you need to find a coach that has time for you, obviously has results to show for it, you know what I mean? Like, having testimonials from clients and knowing that they're a good coach, and just that they're a good human, I think is like
That's
the biggest
big.
thing.
That is big.
Is this
and
someone you
making
want to
sure
talk
that
to all
they
the time?
care about you outside of just coaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like checking on you in your personal life, I think is also important, especially in the sport of bodybuilding, because your prep can be thrown off by things outside of competing. Like you could be doing everything right, but if your stress levels are up here, you're not going to be responding, and they need to be talking to you about that. And especially post-show, it's very important to have a coach that is there for you, because like I said, I was literally depressed for like a month up until I went to Nashville on my trip. I was just down and out. And I think having a coach that'll be there for you even after your show is super important too.
Right, because it's not just, you're not just guiding people just through movement, you know. That movement affects every layer. It affects them like emotionally and mentally, and you know, when your body's going through stress, even if that's just mechanical with an exercise, it affects that other stuff. So it's like it does boil down a lot to like intention. You know, if it's a trainer or a coach that's all about themselves and their ego, like I would step away from that as quick as I could. But if someone's like really listens and can like hold space and find what your needs are and kind of troubleshoot that, like they're there for you.
People totally have breakdowns during preps too. Like, oh my God, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just like
freak out.
And
that was me.
I don't think I've ever seen someone not freak out post show, for sure.
Well, I remember when it happened with you. Like, I think Shayna and I were working out together, and I don't know if she noticed it first or I noticed it first, but it was her, because then I like came over to you guys and I'm like, what's going on? And you were just like, blah, like super scattered and everything, and I was like, I think that was probably like, because I'd seen people like, you know, have like breakdowns and stuff like that, like, fuck this, I don't want to do this, yada yada. I'd never seen it like, it really hit someone like that. And I was like, holy shit, dude, it's actually that hard. Like, I don't think people really like, they just think it's, you know, eat really clean, do cardio, lift weights, done. But like, there's so much mental fuck that goes into that.
For sure.
It's crazy how much, like, just how much you have to mentally prepare yourself for that kind of stuff.
Well, and not to mention, obviously you're on prep and have to be like perfect with everything. Life still happens. And you have to like work around. Like, I got COVID 5 weeks out.
Oh my God. Most people dropped out when that happened.
I was so sick, like down for the count for like a week and a half. Couldn't move. I went on a 10-minute walk, literally thought I was gonna pass out after having it for like 7 days.
Oh my God.
Went through a breakup, all this stuff. Like, it was so much. And so trying to also push through that while also pushing through prep is so tough. And I don't think people realize that.
That's really impressive resiliency on your part. Like, that's a lot of I mean, dude, COVID, done. Like, nobody's gonna keep going with that. Like,
no. And I was so far in, like I said, it was 5 weeks out. I was like, I'm not giving up. I have to do it. Like, I'm so close. And so we just I just worked with my coaches, and we just tried to make a plan. And obviously, I'm sure I would have looked better if I didn't get COVID and I didn't have to not lift for a week or do my cardio. But it is what it is, and I just had to kind of go with the flow and not give up.
Forgiving yourself for the fuckery and the stuff that's like out of your control, essentially.
Because I literally could not control that, and there was nothing that I could do. I couldn't force myself to go to the gym. I was so sick. I just had to focus on recovering and eating and doing what I could to get back, and that was fine after like a week and a half, but it was rough.
Do you think there's anyone who should not do a show?
Absolutely. I think.
Do tell.
I think a lot of people shouldn't compete. I think that. I feel like I'm gonna offend people. I don't think that you should just start working out and just like think you should compete right away.
Fuck no.
No. I think that you should be working out consistently and like being comfortable with that aspect of it for like a few years before you compete, before you step on stage. Because I think that I'm obviously a trainer. Like, I've worked out, I've done it all for like 4 years now, and it still was so hard on me. So I don't think people that are like not used to that should compete. I don't think it's healthy, and if you're not in a mentally very good spot, I don't think you should start. Especially if you have stuff with food.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like if there's like disordered eating mixed in.
Yes.
Yes.
Because I have
Yes.
always I've never had food guilt or anything like that. I've never had an issue with it, but it was bad. After the show, obviously I said I ate everything, but I felt so guilty and I beat myself up so much for it. Body dysmorphia, everything was so real. So I think if you have issues with that in the past, it's probably not good for you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's different on a case-to-case basis, but
I would agree though so fully with that people should be active in lifting weights for a few years, because one thing I bring to training that I feel is very different is I'm an LMT, I'm a yoga teacher, and so it's so much about developing awareness, building that up mechanically, getting connected to your body. And a lot of times you're saying too, when people come in, they're not athletes, there's this egotism that is overruling all of it. And a lot of times in my experience there's treads of that in why people do it, but there's also not, there's this camaraderie about just trying to build yourself up in a lot of different ways and having people you're doing that with. But if you don't have that foundation set up, that will just totally fuck up someone in so many ways.
Well, prep is hard on your body.
Oh yeah.
So to go from not doing anything to just doing that, I feel is so bad. And I feel that's when people luckily for me, I am back at my like normal weight of where I sit, and I haven't really gone over that. But some people will like not reverse and put on so much weight.
Oh, a coach that I kind of paired working with for my show, after 2 days, obviously water, that's another one when you're dehydrating and whatnot, you put a lot of weight back on that. He had 15 pounds in like 2 days. And I'm like, and then he got hospitalized too, because he just like started swelling. And I'm like,
you have to be so careful. And if you don't know about any of that, it's so much easier to fuck it up.
Oh, totally.
And your body's not used to it at all. And like luckily for me, like I said, my body's so used to lifting and maintaining a certain weight and all of that I've just kind of hit my normal and I've just kind of skated there. But I feel like for someone who hasn't been there and like been doing that, it's a lot easier to rebound horribly.
Oh, in your guys' case, it's literally like you've both done it for so long, you're both able to kind of fall back on your habits.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be heading out of Reno soon. You're going to be going to chiro school.
I am, yes.
What brought you down that road?
So going back to soccer, I had strained my hip flexors. Okay, hold on. Let me go all the way back. So I started going to a chiro when I was probably like 8. I was pretty young when I started going. Yeah, we had a family chiropractor. I've been to various ones around Reno. But the thing that like really made me shift was, so I played soccer in high school and I strained my hip flexors pretty bad, both of them, to the point of like barely even being able to like walk up the stairs. Like
Jeez.
They were really bad. And I remember my soccer coach, I told him that I was going to my chiropractor to like have him help me fix them, and he did the like the laser therapy, which helped my knees a ton when I hurt them. And it recovered my hip flexors so much faster than if I were to just do it by myself. But I remember him saying, you need to go to a physical therapist, chiropractors don't know anything. And I was like, I realized that I trust my chiropractor so much more than other people do. And I have always felt like that. I think chiropractors are amazing, and I've always trusted them with everything that they need to do to me. They've helped me so much in the past. And so then I got into training, and then that's when my first year of college, I was pre-business because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then that was right around the time when I started lifting. I was 19 when I got certified as a trainer. So then right around then was when I switched my major to kinesiology, and people usually either do chiro, PT, or athletic training with kines. I don't want to be an athletic trainer. That was just not really something that I wanted to do. I feel like it's kind of hard to find a good job with that career-wise, like long-term. And then PT I kind of ruled out just because I don't really want to deal with like rehab as much. Like obviously chiro you do that, but I feel like it's a little more. Chiro is more on the like preventative side. So then I kind of left chiro, and I've always, like I said, loved my chiropractors. I trust them so much. I think they do so much for my body. Like Dr. Rouse, she has helped me so much, and she is so intelligent, and meeting with her and getting to pick her brain and talking to her about it has made me so much more excited for it. And there's so many different avenues that you can go with it, and so it kind of leaves me open to whatever I want to do. So yeah,
I get you.
that's how I got to chiro.
He and I both had, we were talking about it before we started recording, but like at one point in time, he was kind of looking into it. I remember at one point in time, I was kind of looking into it. I think I had no idea what that actually entailed. I just remember my mom like, blah, 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 the chiropractor. And I'm like, what is that? And she's like, they pop bones. And I'm like, you know, I like cracking my fingers. So, like literally,
cool.
that was like my childhood like thought about it. I was like, this could be really sick. But then, you know, I ended up finding out like, oh, it's this many years and it's this and blah, 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 and all this different stuff. And I was like, holy shit, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. That's a lot of this.
And I don't think people realize that either. I think they dismiss chiropractors a lot. And because my one friend, Chloe, actually, so she's goes to school in South Carolina, and one of the big chiro schools is right there. And she was talking to a guy that goes to the chiropractor school, and she texted me, and she's like, dude, I didn't realize you're basically going to med school. She was like, I didn't realize how hard it was until I talked to this kid. And I think a lot of chiropractors get dismissed, and like my uncles will make jokes like, oh, you better not call yourself a doctor and like all this stuff, but I don't think people realize the schooling that you have to go through, and like it's hard. Like it's not easy to be a chiropractor.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize that.
No, definitely. It's
frustrating, but
there's so much more that, I mean, even just like I remember, you know, I hurt my foot. I go to Dr. Rouse. I'm like, hey, we need to fix my foot. And she's like going through my back first, and then my hips, and then my foot. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, we got to get this right so that we can align this, so that we can align this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me actually. Yeah. But why do you think it is that there is so much like mistrust around chiropractic?
I think there's a lot of bad chiropractors. I think there are a lot that aren't good, and not necessarily that they're not good, but like, we'll just keep talking about Dr. Al since we're here. I think it's amazing that she explains everything and tells you why she's doing what she's doing. I think even my previous chiropractors, they never did that. So you don't know what's happening. You don't know why it's happening. You don't know that you might be sore after an adjustment. You don't know any of that. And so I think a lot of people don't trust their chiropractors because they don't realize the knowledge that they have. You know what I mean? Like Dr. Rouse is very intelligent, and she shows that, but it's not in like a condescending way. You know what I mean? Like she can explain it to you in like normal people terms that aren't going to confuse you. And I think that that's super important to communicate with your patients and kind of get on that level with them of comfortability that a lot of doctors don't. They don't take their time with you. It's kind of just like super fast patient in, patient out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it becomes that like revolving door.
Yeah.
I'm sure too, like you'll probably, this might be a kind of silly question, and you might learn this in school, but like, where did chiropractic stem from? Like, is it something that was like created in the West, or?
I honestly don't know. Do you know that?
So, yeah, it's there was like, being completely honest, it's like the worst origin story you could possibly ask for. Like,
oh no.
If I remember correctly, it was a guy who was like a total snake oil salesman. He was telling people he could cure cancer by adjusting their spine. So it's like the worst like originator you could physically ask for. It's like if somebody was like, where did personal training come from? And it was like, I can't even think of something crazier than that, honestly. But it definitely had a really rough starting point, and then I think because of that, it caused
mistrust.
It caused a lot of mistrust because, you know, this is also around the time that people are, you know, selling like literal snake oil, and then people are selling, oh god, what's the one opiate that people were putting into like drinks and stuff and selling it as medicine? I can't remember what it was, but yeah, like it was during that period where there was
we look at each other really weird now.
There was so much weird
blonde.
shit going on. There was like so much weird stuff going on that people were just like, oh, okay, this is just like more bullshit. And I think that is where a lot of chiropractors do kind of fall into that trap too, where it's like over promising and under delivering. And but that can happen in in any profession, which is the thing, you know. It's like
it brings a story up to my mind too, just like with massage therapies, is that came before physical therapy. And per Henrik Ling, he's actually the one who's the father of PT, that he created it. You know, that it was called medical gymnastics. That's literally where it started, you know.
Yeah.
It was like, it's like similar to that. Like, I feel like chiropractic in a way is almost like, just like in the West, where like people think of like Eastern medicine doctors as not being doctors.
Yeah.
They have such a thorough understanding, but it's not like from the model that we view health.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
know? And it doesn't like mean that like that field of study or like chiropractic isn't like immensely valuable.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think that if there's not a drug that you can get right now to fix it, then it doesn't work.
Oh, it's the instant gratification,
Yeah.
just like that immediate thing.
Yep, then that's a very big thing in our culture.
It's one of the worst things about Western culture is that it's like, if you can't like take a pill or cut it and sew it back up, then it's like you basically just assume that and there are so many like non-invasive like therapies and stuff like that, whether it's through, you know, exercise or diet in many cases, or sleeping or drinking more water, or going to a chiropractor. Like, there's so many non-invasive things that you can do to actually like improve your overall quality of life and just health overall. But
people don't want to do that.
That takes work.
Yeah, even when it comes down to literally scheduling an appointment to go to the chiropractor and paying the $40, people won't do it, but they'll literally take Advil and think that that's great because it fixes it right away.
Exactly.
But they don't want to go to the chiropractor and get adjusted and be overall healthier for a longer period of time. Like, and not just putting a Band-Aid, but people don't want to do that because taking Advil is easier than making an appointment.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
If there was, like, total subject change, but if there was anything that you could have every trainer start doing with a client, what do you think it would be?
Gosh, I don't know. That's a hard question.
I know.
I feel like you should preface this before so I could have thought about it.
We can circle back to it, but I guess to kind of prompt it a little bit more clearly, what's something that you feel like if every one of my clients was doing this, it would make it that much more effective?
I don't know. This is just the first thing that pops into my mind. I feel like it's not like, obviously it's a big thing, but not like super big. But I feel like if people prioritize their sleep more, is something that I think is very important that a lot of people don't talk about. And a lot of people don't realize that that kind of is a big part of recovery and making progress. And I don't think a lot of people are like told about that as much and don't really, like, obviously you're told to sleep 8 hours a night, but how many people do that?
Yeah, dude, none.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when like my clients are coming to me and they're like, well, I feel like I'm not really seeing that much progress. I'm like, okay, let's talk about your sleep. Let's talk about your hydration, stress levels, and all of that. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure a lot of coaches are talking about that, but I feel like if a lot more people really recognize that, that'd be super important. Yeah. Obviously in like all areas of their life, but for training, I think it's important too.
So if coaches started focusing more on like the recovery aspect instead of I feel like that's something that is becoming like a lot newer in our space. People actually addressing like the lifestyle outside of the gym, because like the majority of people, it's, you know, like a personal trainer. Okay, well, what does a personal trainer do? They make you go to the gym and lift weights. It's like, when you really peel that back, like, yes, there is that aspect, but it's like, if you're really going to help somebody like lose weight, build muscle, and increase their overall health, like, you have to look into people's sleep. You have to look into, you know, what are the deficiencies in people's life that are just causing them to be in this constant state of breakdown. Like, that is legitimately one of the first things that I look at for clients is like, how much are you sleeping at night? Because it's
see, and that's like we were talking about earlier with the finding a good coach, like someone that is gonna talk to you about things outside of the gym, because it's not just in the gym that's important. It's everything else. It's your relationships, it's your stress, it's sleep, and all of that. You know what I mean? It's just full circle here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
If somebody wanted to get into becoming a trainer, what would you say to them?
Know what you're doing first. Don't just think you can be a trainer. Obviously, same thing as competing. Do it for a few years, get used to it. Talk to people around you. like you, I asked you so many questions, book recommendations, all of that. Find people that are good at what you want to do and latch onto them.
Learn from them.
Yes. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I think is the most important. Don't be afraid to look dumb, because you don't know what you're doing. And you need help, and you need those people, and learning to ask for that help, I think, is very important.
The moment you think you know what you're doing, you're probably dumber than you've ever been.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
It's crazy how much we don't know. And like, you know, I know we've all have experienced this, where it's like the more you learn stuff, the more you're just like, oh my God, I legitimately don't know what I'm doing. Like, I shouldn't. People shouldn't be paying me. I'm an idiot. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else? Because I got like one or two more, and then we'll.
No, I'm just going with this flow.
What question do you never get asked that you think is a really important question to ask?
About anything?
Anything.
I don't know.
This is my favorite question to ask people, because it's like there's something that is meaningful to you, or something that matters to you, that has just like never came up, and it's something that you want to share or want to speak on. What is that?
I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
What is yours? Tell me what yours would be.
Mine's normally that question.
Yeah.
So, I guess for right now, where I'm at, it's probably why do you read so much? Honestly, like that's probably the one thing. Like it just, people know that I read a lot, but it's never like why. I started reading a lot of fiction like 2 years ago because it felt like it made me more creative. It felt like it made me connect better to people. I had an English teacher tell me this once upon a time, where she was like, the best part about fiction is that you get to experience a situation that you'll never be in, from a person that you'll never be, who has lived a life that you've never lived. So it's like you get this totally different view and experience of all these different things from all these different angles, and it's like you get to see how did this person react, and then you get to kind of have this like moral judgment with, you know, with what they did, and go, was that the right decision? Why was it, or why wasn't it? And like, I fucking love fiction, dude. Like, I think it's so cool. There's so much to learn in just dumb little stories about whatever, you know?
Yeah. Okay, I think I got one.
Hit me.
So I think what I've never been asked, obviously people ask me all the time about working out, but no one has ever asked me why I spend so much time at the gym, like why I like to work out.
Please let us know.
Okay, I feel like this just is gonna sound sad. So I personally love to go to the gym and be at the gym because it's the only place that I feel like I fit in. You know what I mean? Like every time I go out with people like my age, I never feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I feel like the gym is the only place that I feel like I belong there. You know what I mean?
I totally vibe with that.
Yeah, like I feel like people my age I just don't really like click with, but people at the gym are just like, especially at Stimulus, I just feel like all the people there are so genuine, and that's like my place that I like belong.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like similar lifestyle has a tie to that, or like
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't really like vibe with people my age because they're all like partying and drinking, and that's like not really what I like to do. But there's people like you guys that are very intelligent, and I like to be around that, and like I've always liked to hang out with older people just because I feel like you guys are so smart and are so like far in life, and I just really like that, and it's just like the one place that I love to be and that I can learn whatever I want from whoever I want because you guys are all very smart.
I think you had said it earlier where it was there's also like there's this kind of like relationship with the gym that you don't really get anywhere else as well. Like you know, you go to the gym knowing that you're going to experiencing pain, knowing that you're going to struggle, and it's like there's this camaraderie around the fact that all these other people are dealing with the exact same thing, and we're all trying to like push ourselves to do something better. Like it's almost like the inverse of misery loves company. It's like progress loves companionship, you know? Like you can walk into a gym and you know for a fact everybody in that building is trying to like level up in some way, and like knowing that they're willing to like suffer and just do whatever it takes to actually get there is like
do the hard shit that other people won't do.
It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, because every single person there has chosen to be there, and they choose to make themselves better, and I love that. I love those people.
Yeah. Final bit for you. What are you proud of yourself for?
I think the thing that I pride myself most on is my dedication. I think that when I set a goal, I'm very dedicated and I will do pretty much whatever it takes to get there, and I won't give up on myself. And I think that that's really cool. So.
Hell yeah. I like that. I would
Thank
totally
you.
agree with that. I
Thank you.
think that's a very clear thing about you.
Thank you.
Well, Ashlee, thank you for coming.
Thank you
This
so
is
much
awesome.
for having me. This is fun.
This is super fun. We should do this again.
I'm down.
Yeah. Before you leave for Chiro school. All right.
Yes.
Well, I love you. And guys, until next time, we'll see y'all later.